Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Srivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripre Vancha Kalpadarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyat Deshatani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauravakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ish. Hare Krishna devotees. Welcome to our concluding session on the 18 chapters today. So for those of you who have joined us every day, congratulations. You are at the finish line, almost at the finish line. So yesterday we did chapter 17, and chapter 17 was titled Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga, faith as per the three gunas. That is the title of the chapter. So Krishna begins this particular chapter by talking about faith and worship, the different types of worship influenced by the three gunas. Then he comes back to the topic of food. Then he moves on to the topic of sacrifice and yajna. Then he talks about tapa, and which is austerity. And then he talks about the topic of charity. And the chapter concludes with the Lord talking about Om Tat Sat. It is the entry point to chant the holy names of the Lord. And Krishna talks about how every yajna is not complete unless this Om Tat Sat is chanted. Also, the Lord says, if you are not following the Vedic scriptures, then whatever you're doing, if you concoct, remember Arjuna's question was, what if somebody has faith but not in the scriptures and something else? So essentially Krishna responds to that question by talking about how faith is influenced by the guna, and so many other things are influenced by the gunas. But the concluding verse from Krishna is that if you don't follow the scriptures, then whatever it is that you're performing is just a waste of time, because you will not get the results, or even if you do get the results are temporary. So there is a nice pastime of what you should aspire for or what you should not aspire for. This is from the Ramayana. There was a Shudra, and by the name Shambhuka. In those days, the kings would have a bell outside the palace. Anybody can go ring the bell and ask the king for an audience. In the sense, that's the way you ask for a meeting. So anybody has access to the king. So there was a bell, a public bell. You had to ring the bell, and then you are invited in, and the king receives you, and whatever complaint that you have, you can present it to the king. So Lord Ram had one such bell outside his palace. And a Brahmana comes and rings the bell. And not only that, he has come with his dead son. And the death is an untimely death. So it is said, I think I was mentioning yesterday, right? If there is untimely death in the kingdom, then the king is to be blamed. So anybody can go question the king. So the father here had the right to question the king. It was accepted that untimely deaths only happen if the king is adharmic. Otherwise, the citizens would have a very peaceful life. So obviously, the father has come holding the body of his son, questioning Lord Ram. How is it possible that my son died before his time? The Lord is very puzzled. He's thinking, there's nothing adharmic going on in this kingdom. But something definitely must be wrong, and Lord Ram could not figure out what it was. And pretty soon, Narada Muni comes to tell the Lord, my dear Lord, actually, there is one character. You have to go find him and kill him. So Narada Muni tells Lord Ram that there is a Shudra by name Shambhuka who is doing intense tapas in the forest. And he is the cause of the untimely death of this Brahmana's son. So Lord Ram immediately calls for the Pushpaka Vimana and he heads south. He comes to the place where Shambhuka is actually hanging upside down from a tree and doing his penance. So Lord Ram asks, who are you? And Shambhuka says, I am a Shudra. Then Lord Ram asks, why are you doing this tapasya? And Shambhuka says, I want to be the next Indra. Not only do I want to be the next Indra, I want to defeat him and I want to capture his wife, Shachi Devi. And the minute these words come out of Shambhuka's mouth, the Lord just kills him. When the Lord comes back to the palace, the Brahmana's son mystically regains his life. So when the Lord talks about Yajna, Dana, Tapa, he is saying everybody has to perform this, no exceptions. Even a sannyasi has to do Yajna, Dana, and Tapa. So even tapas should be done as per scriptures. You cannot say, this is the austerity I will undertake because you've just invented it in your brains. So you cannot practice austerities that are not authorized in the scriptures. So you cannot keep fast for political reasons. Because everything has a proper process that needs to be followed. If your faith is not based on the scriptures, Krishna is saying, then immediately that faith comes under the influence of one of the three gunas. Of course, he talks about demigod worship. He talks about people under the influence of Rajagun worshipping demons. So yeah, there are people who used to, when Hitler was there were a few people who used to, create a statue and then worship that statue. So there are people like this also, even today. So this is considered worshipping demons under the mode of Rajagun. And then Bhuta Preta, where you're worshipping ghosts and spirits. So actually this Pancha Upasaka or Pancha Upasana is authorized in the scriptures. If you have to worship any devatas or any gods, then 5 deities are authorized for worship. One is Lord Vishnu, one is Surya Narayana, one is Lord Shiva, one is Durga Devi, and one is Lord Ganesh. They are called Panchopasana. You can worship these 5 deities if you want, but if you worship Krishna, it's not necessary. What is this Bhuta and Preta, the ghosts? So if you commit suicide, then you will get the body of a ghost. So it is said that the ghosts who don't have a physical body, but they still experience hunger, thirst. The only problem is that they cannot act on it because their gross body is missing. A ghostly body means you don't have your physical body, you just have your subtle body, your mind, intelligence, and false ego. Now, the word preta means spirit. And what does this mean? This is the process that happens when you die. If somebody dies, let us say today is the day they died, then normally we follow this process, no? From day 1 to day 13, we observe, we perform certain karmas for the departed soul. So this is what happens from day 1 to day 13. If day 1 is death, then from that day 1 to day 13, that soul will get what is called a transition body. And this transition body is called the preta. It is essentially a temporary body, and all souls have to undergo this process where they have to take a transition body for those 13 days. And then on the 13th day, they get a new body. That is, that soul enters a new body. Of course, there is an exception to this rule. The exception is if you are a devotee of Krishna and you've practiced some bhakti, you don't have this 13-day waiting period. Immediately after you die, that very next instant, the soul goes and occupies its next body, which of course will be in a pious family of devotees, so that that soul continues its journey from there. So this Pindadan is offered every day during these, well, up to the 12th day, the 13th day is a celebration. So it is said that the soul, because it still has this transition body, will experience intense hunger and thirst. Some of you may have experienced this if you've had a death in the family. I know I experienced it many years back when my older brother died. It is said that the family members will also feel intense hunger. And so you may consume a lot more food than you normally are used to consuming. And I remember my aunt saying that the Shastras say, because fire, no, because we burn the body, that fire, even the siblings, in my case, it was my brother, so even the siblings will experience that intense fire. And therefore, they end up consuming a lot more food during those, especially during the first 3 days after the cremation has happened. So anyway, this Pindadan is supposed to be offered. Now, in those 13 days, if that soul did not perform any bhakti yoga, if you offer prasadam on all 13 days, then literally you can change and you can also liberate that soul. But you have to offer Krishna prasadam. Yes.
Excuse me, Mataji, this got disconnected. I missed the little starting part. Just given a gist. I don't want to waste others' time. What did you say regarding the death? Something I could hear only the last part. 13. I mean, when people get younger from there. The starting I missed out.
Acha, okay. So maybe you can pick it up on the recording.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure how
recording.
much you
Okay.
missed. Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot about that. I'll check it.
So
Now you said Krishna Prasadam.
if you feed Krishna Prasadam to the departed soul on all those days that you perform the ceremonies, then the soul has a big chance of being liberated, essentially getting moksha, which means the soul, there's a possibility that the soul need not take another body.
But is it okay? They say that is, what is it, in Hindu custom, 16 days we are, I mean, it is called, I forgot the word in to say. So can we give for God? Light the lamp, all those things we do. But prayer, usually we don't till we go 16th ceremony, we finish, then only we go to temple and all, no? Because
that is the Karma Kanda section. Since we are devotees, we follow the Upasana Kanda, so it really does not matter. You need not stop chanting. If you're observing Sutaka, and of course Sutaka varies depending on what each families will follow based on tradition and culture. Now, so I will explain this, then maybe you all can hear it a little later on. The mourning period is there for a reason. Sutaka is followed because if you are genuinely mourning the death of a loved one, you are not supposed to visit the temple and be in a very distressed or sad state when you are taking darshan of the Lord. So that is the only reason you are asked not to go to the temple. Let us say a very elderly person passes away. They are in their late 90s or whatever it is. And it's a natural death and you are expecting it. You may not have that much of sadness. Of course, there will be some amount of sadness. So the Sutaka is actually meant to prevent you from going to the temple if you are genuinely mourning the loss of that person. In the sense, you are emotionally distraught. So when you are emotionally distraught, you should not go to the temple. If the death has not affected you in any way, then you can go to the temple even on the same day. Of course, you have to take your bath, purify yourself, and then you can go to the temple. If at all you are worried about what would society say, then we say, okay, 3 days you avoid going to the temple, 4th day you can come. There are very scientific reasons why we follow certain processes and procedures. There is a different set of rules for devotees of Krishna and different set of rules for those who are following the traditional Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, because that's where all the rituals and all are explained. So you can see that there is an exception to this rule for Preta also, that the transition body is not applicable to devotees of Krishna. If they have not finished their bhakti, or if they have not perfected their bhakti in this life, and they pass away, then instantly they get another body. They don't have that 13-day waiting period. So these are the subtle aspects of this, because Yamadutas do not have jurisdiction over devotees of the Lord. It's the Vishnu Dutas who come to accompany the soul back to the spiritual world. Right? So in case you've not finished if you've not perfected your bhakti in this life, then instantly you will take birth in a devotee family. Because Yamaraj does not have jurisdiction over devotees of Krishna. Krishna says that the devotees are under the protection of Yogamaya and not under the control of Mahamaya. So you can also see how, we were talking about that incident of that man holding a tulsi and avoiding death. So similarly, once Yamamaraj tells his servants, there is a death, go pick up that body and bring him to me. So the Yamadutas go to that house, but they don't find anything. They checked their addresses and it was all the correct address only given by Yama Maharaj, but still they could not locate this person. So they thought maybe there is some error somewhere in the paperwork. So they go to the next house and pick up the person from there, which was not the right person. So they thought, okay, we've come so far. Maybe it was that house and not this house. Anyway, they couldn't see. So they pick up somebody else and take him to Yamaraj. Yamaraj says, who's this? This is not the person I asked you to pick up. This is not the right person. So the Yamadutas say, but then we couldn't find the person that you had mentioned. So Yamaraj said, oh, this is interesting. Let me go check it out for myself. When he comes there, in front of the house, there is a huge tulsi plant. So tulsi plant creates an aura that subtle entities cannot see. So the Yamadutas could not see the Jivatmas living in that house because it was protected by the tulsi plant. That is why in our culture, we actually have a tulsi plant in front of the house. Yeah, so you're not troubled by Yamadutas. And then Krishna also talks about charity being given at the right place at the right time. So we've talked about tapas. You should not do tapas that is not authorized in scriptures. Because then that is, you're doing it under the mode of ignorance. So even when it comes to charity, there are so many rules, right? Sacrifices also. So in any given sacrifice, if you don't pay the priest properly, then the priest will get the benefit of that sacrifice. You will not get the benefit of that particular yajna. So you have to be so cautious and careful about these things. So there is a funny pastime about a couple of thieves. They go and pray to Lord Ganesh. Today, we're going to make lots of money. We're going to go steal in many, many places. But don't worry, Ganesha, whatever we steal, we'll give you a portion of it. You please help us. So they are successful in robbing and they bring the wealth to the Lord, to Ganesha. And they say, thank you very much for helping us. So the first thief, he draws a small circle in front of the altar. And he tells, see, I will throw up all of these coins. Whatever falls in that big circle belongs to you. Anything falls outside of the circle belongs to me. Of course, he had drawn a very small circle. So he throws up all of the coins and one single coin falls in the middle of the circle. Everything else have fallen out. So he took most of the wealth and he said, thank you very much, Ganesha, for helping me. So the second, his partner comes next and he says, see, I'm not as stingy as that person. I am so generous. I will throw all the wealth in the air. Whatever you can catch, you keep. Whatever falls on the ground, I will take. So of course, Ganesha didn't catch anything. So the second thief kept everything, did not give anything at all. So it is said that when you give in charity, this is how actually charity works. Prabhupada says that, remember, Krishna has said it should be done at a proper place, a proper time, and a qualified person has to receive the charity. So who is this qualified person? And what are these qualified, unqualified? How do we know whether they're qualified or not? So this is how Prabhupada explains how charity works. So if you give charity to a non-Brahmana, let's say you give him 1 rupee in charity, you will get 1 rupee in benefit for you. That is the return for you for doing charity. If you give someone who's like a semi-qualified Brahmana, if you give 1 rupee to that semi-qualified Brahmana, you will get 2 rupees in return. Benefit. I'm just talking about ratios here using rupees. But whatever charity you performed, you will get twice the benefits of that. If you give charity to a qualified Brahmana, you will get 1,000 times the benefit. So to a non-Brahmana, 1:1. To a half-qualified Brahmana, 1:2. To a qualified Brahmana, 1:1,000. And if you give charity to devotees, it is 1:infinity. Unlimited benefits you get for giving charity to devotees. We're not making this up. It is true. That is why Krishna is saying, right place, right time, qualified person. So if you give charity for the service of the Lord, or in the service of the devotees who are serving the Lord, then your prosperity will be unlimited. But time, place, and circumstance you have to take into consideration. So this way, Krishna is telling us how to do yajna, dana, and tapa in the proper way, and also warning us if we don't do it in the proper way, it's going to probably cause us more issues down the road. So the conclusion of 17th chapter is this Om Tat Sat. Om is an invocation of the Supreme, of the Divine. Tat means none of this belongs to me. Accepting that you are actually a part and parcel of Krishna. And Sat, of course, means eternal. And a genuine devotee is telling the Lord, when they say Om Tat Sat, I am offering myself and everything that comes with me to you at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So hence the words Om Tat Sat are uttered. And Krishna concludes by saying, anyone who does not follow the scriptures, then all of their efforts is wasted, because everything that they do is actually asat. Krishna also talks about speech. There's an interesting pastime with speech. One day, a man criticized another person, and he didn't know. He just heard some rumor and passed it around. Was highly critical. And later on, he found out that whatever he had said was true. So he was feeling a little remorseful. And because he was feeling remorseful, he goes to a holy man and he asks this holy man, what can I do about this? Is there any atonement for this? So the holy man tells him, I'll give you a pillow. You take the pillow to the middle of the town square, cut it open, and whatever contents are there inside the pillow, which is the feathers, let it loose. The man thought that's a strange way to atone for something. But anyway, since he's a saint and he's asked me to do it, I'll do it. So he goes and cuts open the pillow in the middle of the town, and the feathers just fly all over the place. They just quickly get dispersed, because the wind is just picked up the feathers and distributed them all over the place. Some near, some very, very far. So he goes back and tells the saint, I've done exactly what you asked me to do. Is that it? I'm good now. I have atoned for my sin. He said, now what I want you to do is go collect all those feathers, put it back in the pillow and bring it back to me. And the man protested, saying, come on, that is impossible. How can I do that? So the saint said, similarly, once words have been uttered from your mouth, it's impossible to retrieve them. It has already been dispersed in the wind. It's already had its effect. So you can't retract what you already said. Of course, you can go ask for apology and ask for forgiveness. That is always a nice thing. But once words come out of your mouth, it's very, very difficult to take it back. And many of us make the mistake of speaking very harshly when we are angry and upset. And before we know it, we feel some remorse, but at the same time, our ego prevents us from genuinely asking for an apology and for forgiveness. I see some questions in the chat. I think I will take it up towards the end of the session. We have a long chapter, the 18th chapter, but we'll try our best to go through it very quickly. The 18th chapter is called Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. And this chapter also begins with Arjuna's intriguing question. The question is, what's the difference between sannyas and tyaga? Tyaga means renunciation. Sannyas is also renunciation, but that is Arjuna's question. So what is fascinating in this chapter is Krishna is going to summarize the entire Bhagavad Gita that he's spoken simply based on the question that Arjuna asks. So from chapters 1 to 6, it was Karma Yoga. 7 to 12, it was Bhakti Yoga. Now 13 to 18 is Jnana Yoga. That is that jnana that is necessary for you to understand how to perform bhakti and why you should perform bhakti. So why Bhakti Yoga is in the center? That is because it is so precious. It's like a filling in a sandwich. Everybody enjoys the filling in the sandwich, but the bread also makes it a little bit more relishing. So here, Krishna in the 13th chapter has talked about the 6 items of knowledge. In the 14th chapter, Krishna has talked about the 3 gunas. In the 15th chapter, Krishna has talked about that upside down banyan tree, home or hotel. Of course, we want to go back home. Therefore, we need to follow the Vedic scriptures to guide us back to Krishna. In 16, Krishna talked about the inmates that are residing with us in this material world with divine and demoniac qualities. And of course, we ourselves possess both. So we have to focus on cultivating our divine qualities. And in the 17th chapter, we looked at faith and worship and different aspects under the influence of the 3 gunas. Here again in this chapter, Krishna will come back to the topic of gunas. And it will be a resounding conclusion. Krishna then talks about the ideal worker. And then, of course, the grand finale, the end result for a devotee of Krishna. So, this particular shloka, Krishna is talking to Arjuna. Etanyapi tu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani me partha nischitam matamuttamam. All these activities should be performed without attachment or expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion. So essentially, Krishna is saying we should, or coming back to the topic of we should all perform our prescribed duties. We should not abandon our duties. It has to be performed. No matter how difficult the situation is, you have to stick to the path and follow the instructions of Krishna. So essentially, Krishna is saying, whatever work you have, you do it without any attachment. Do not worry about the fruits. And Krishna has already talked about Karma Sannyasa Yoga in chapter 5. So why is it that we should not expect the results? What is the purpose of sannyas? Because this is in response to Arjuna's question. What's the difference between sannyas and tyaga? Which is better, he asks. The purpose of taking sannyas is to purify yourself. Similarly, the purpose of undertaking tyaga is also to purify ourselves. Therefore, simply doing your prescribed duties itself will purify. Krishna is not saying you have to do it perfectly. You just have to do your duties and responsibilities, and it is purifying. So, if you perform your prescribed duties and responsibilities, it can protect you from repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. In this particular shloka, Krishna is summarizing karma and jnana yoga, and he's going to talk about the 5 doers and the ultimate doer. So what is the reason why we are all engaged in so many activities? Krishna says, Adhishtanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham vividhascha prithak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam. The place of the action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action. So how can we understand this in a very simple way? So let's just take the example of this class. In order to bring this class to you, so many things had to come together. 1, the temple president has to desire to have these online sessions. 2, so many different posters had to be made. An advertising campaign had to be done. We had to set up the registration process for people to register for this class. We had to download all of the registration data. We had to find sevaks who would do the calls to tell you, hey, you registered for the class is going to start on such and such a date. You have people who know how to run Zoom, who know how to take the attendance from the Zoom reports. We have those who are checking your quiz answers. They are producing the certificates. After you complete the quizzes, you will get a certificate. So across the board, so many people are involved just to bring you this one session of 18 days. Then you registered for the class. You got the blessings of your parents, which is why you are here. So there is so many people who have come together to run this session. So if I tell you I am solely responsible for all of this, then I would be quite dishonest with you. There are other devotees who put together the slides. There are devotees who researched the Bhagavad Gita and made notes and gave it to us. But Krishna is saying, remember, there may be many doers. In this case, Krishna is talking about the 5 doers. But the ultimate doer is Paramatma. Without his sanction, this class could not have happened. So because of the Lord's causeless mercy, all of us are here. All those people who joined in the first class, many of them are not here. So those who survived till the 18th chapter, that is because you have received the causeless mercy of Krishna. Therefore, you should also develop that determination to do good from now on and to do more good from now on if you're already doing good. So we may not see so many causes for so many actions because our vision is limited. We cannot see far beyond our immediate perceptions. So I am not the cause of everything that happens in this universe. There are other causes, but the ultimate cause, Krishna himself is saying, is Krishna. Now Krishna comes to the topic of the three gunas, Sattvagun, Rajagun and Tamagun. So you can see again how many shlokas Krishna is covering these three gunas again. The 14th chapter, the 17th chapter, the 18th chapter. Of course, he's mentioned the gunas in other chapters here and there. So Krishna is saying these three gunas, they control everything. It determines how wise you are, how understanding you are, what kind of activities you engage in, how strong you are, whether you experience bliss or not. Are you happy? Are you unhappy? You know. But the funny thing is that you can't see this rope. It is so invisible. If it is a physical rope, you can go run around here, there and try to cut it off. But it is such a subtle force, Krishna is saying, oh, it is going to be very difficult to cut it off. But then he also gives us a solution in one of the chapters where he says, just become my devotee, then you'll come under the control of Yoga Maya. And in this way, you can be free from the shackles of Mahamaya. That's what Krishna is saying. So let's look at what Krishna is saying here. Krishna is saying, whatever activities that you perform under the influence of Sattvagun, at first those activities are actually very poisonous. In the sense you feel like it is poison. So if we tell you get up early in the morning, you will say, who on earth will get up early? So it's not very tasty in the beginning. But Krishna is saying, but as you stay determined and as you have faith in the processes, ultimately you're waking up early in the morning, getting up and doing your chanting early in the morning, keeping your sankalpa, reading for a little while every day. All of this in the beginning will be like poison to you, but by the time you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it for many, many years, it turns to nectar. It is so nectarian that you will never ever give it up. Therefore, Krishna is saying Sattva-gun is actually conducive for self-realization. Rajagun, on the other hand, he says, at first everything will be tasty. You want this, you want that, everything looks attractive, everything looks beautiful, everything feels like I must have it now. But it is poisonous in the end because it destroys your consciousness. And Krishna says this arises because you have so many desires that you're looking to satisfy. Of course, with Tamogun, everything is made of illusion. So you end up sleeping a lot, you're primarily lazy person, or you're just plain mad because of the influence of the three modes. So in our quest for happiness, we should not forget whether that kind of happiness is sustainable and whether it is actually going to help us with spiritual life. We are all searching for happiness, but happiness doesn't exist under the influence of the three gunas. So whatever tastes like medicine in the beginning, certainly it's an austerity. It's an austerity to wake up early in the morning. It's an austerity to read the Bhagavad Gita before you fall asleep. It's an austerity to go to the temple and take up some seva. It's an austerity to give in charity to the temple so that they can bring more Bhagavad Gita programs like this to you. All of this is an austerity. But how does it become nectarian later? Because it has saved us. It has saved us from ourselves. So that same medicine which was bitter in the beginning, you begin to relish much later on because you see the results of taking the medicine, of chanting, of reading, of hearing, of worshipping Krishna, of offering bhoga to him, of honoring prasadam, of taking association of devotees. Everything becomes nectarian. So initially, some of you who are not chanting or are new to chanting, you may not have any taste for chanting at all. But that's not because the mantra is faulty. That's because your consciousness is faulty. So Prabhupada always uses this example that if you have jaundice, any candy that you put in your mouth is going to taste bitter. And the reason it tastes bitter is because of your diseased condition. Once the diseased condition is removed, that same candy tastes so sweet. So similarly, chanting, waking up early in the morning, coming for sessions, we've been inviting you, please come from 6:15 to 6:45 or whatever, 6 to 6:30. Come every day for class. So it is like you are jaundiced. It's not tasty to you. It seems too terrible for you to try and do it. That's because you are in a diseased condition. So if you simply say to yourself, this is the prescription I'm getting, I must follow it, pretty soon my diseased condition will go away and I will actually experience the bliss of waking up early in the morning, doing my sadhana, doing a little worship of the Lord, doing Tulasi Pradakshina every day, watering Tulasi Devi every day. All of this will become nectarian. So that means in the beginning, you should do it and force yourself to do it, whether you like it or not. Because your mind will always say you don't like it, so don't do it. But we already heard how difficult it is to control the mind. The mind can be your enemy and it can be your friend. So ultimately, you will chant willingly. No? So we have a rule that we should chant 16 malas every day. But for those who are new to bhakti, they may not be prepared or ready or have the inclination to chant 16 rounds every day. But since you are here for the 18th session, certainly you should take a sankalpa because that sankalpa will benefit you. You will benefit from chanting. Nobody else is going to benefit. Of course, if we all chant, the world benefits for sure because so much purification will be happening internally and externally. So all these 18 chapters, we focused and emphasized one thing and one thing alone. There is one medicine, there is one message. Please chant, chant, chant the holy names of the Lord. If you've not already started doing it, take that sankalpa today and chant every day. So one father tried to give his son some medicine because his son was not keeping well. So he puts this medicine inside a jamun. And the son asks his father, what is this new fruit you're bringing me? And the father says, it's a delicious fruit, just have it. So the son says, okay. Later on, the father asks the son, Achar, so did you take the whole fruit? And the son said, yeah, I ate the fruit, but inside the fruit there was a seed, so I threw away that seed. Of course, the father had put that medicine in place of that seed. The son thought that was the medicine and, that was the seed and he threw it away. So it's like attending 18 days of Bhagavad Gita and eating the nice fruit of understanding all the different topics in the 18 chapters and throwing away the most important thing, the seed of chanting, and saying, no, chanting, wanting, who cares? I just wanted to hear the Bhagavad Gita, what it is Krishna is saying in these 18 chapters. So we should not put ourselves in that same situation, because then you will end up actually throwing away the medicine. You will only take the outer covering of the fruit, but you've discarded the medicine. So here Krishna is warning us, the gunas are so powerful, it controls everybody, including Brahmaji. Natadasti prithivyam va divideveshu va punaha sattvam prakriti jair muktam yadebhyat tribir gunaihi. There is no being existing, either here or among the demigods, in the higher planetary systems, which is freed from these three modes born of material nature. So somebody asked a question yesterday, I think. So what guna are the devatas under the influence of? Well, if they are performing bhakti, as they are doing their seva to the Lord, then definitely they are in the Shuddha Sattva state. If they have forgotten the Lord and they are busy enjoying themselves because they have such high posts, then certainly they are not even in Sattva, they may be in Rajan. So it all depends on what is your day-to-day activity. Are you worshipping Krishna every day? If you're worshipping Krishna every day, then yes, you're a devotee of the Lord. So you are beyond the three gunas. So not even the devatas, Krishna is saying, can overcome the influence of the gunas. But if you do nama japa, you can quickly overcome the influence of the three gunas and go straight to Vaikuntha. So Krishna now talks about varnashrama here, and also the ideal worker. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all-pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. So Krishna is saying how you can continue to work, but just don't be attached to the results or offer the results to Krishna. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. That means Krishna is saying, if you simply perform your duties and responsibilities, then you are not going to be affected by sin. So we should do our own duty. So in this regard, there is a nice pastime between a cobbler and a brahmana. Brahmana is worshipping the Lord because he is a brahmana. And this cobbler is also worshipping the Lord in a very simple way. So Narada comes and visits both of them. And he visits the brahmana first. And Narada Muni says, you're such a nice devotee of the Lord. The brahmana says, that's nice, but I actually wanted to only know one thing from you. Narada ji, can you please tell me when I will go back to Vaikuntha? So when Narada Muni visits the cobbler, Narada Muni asks, is there anything I can do for you? The cobbler says, no, I'm perfectly happy doing whatever I'm doing. I do my little bhajan to the Lord. But one thing I'm curious about is this my last life? Will I go back to Krishna at the time of death in this life? And Narada Muni says, let me go check with Narayana and I'll come back to you shortly. So when Narada Muni asks the Lord, see, you have two devotees, one is a brahmana and the other is a cobbler. They're both anxious to know, are they coming back to you after this life? And Lord Vishnu tells Narada Muni, before I answer the question, you please go tell them that when you visited me, this is what you saw me doing. So the Lord instructs Narada Muni, you go tell the brahmana and the cobbler that when I went to Vaikuntha, the Lord was threading a needle with the tail of an elephant and the elephant also. That is how he was threading a needle. So Narada Muni says, okay, I will go convey this to them and see what they respond. So the Lord says, you just come back and tell me what was each of their response when they heard this. So Narada Muni goes back and he goes to the Brahmana first. The Brahmana asks, do you have the answer? And Narada Muni says, well, first let me tell you what the Lord was doing when I went and entered Vaikuntha. So he tells him the Lord was threading a needle with the elephant tail. And immediately the Brahmana said, what a silly little thing. How can anybody even do that? It sounds obnoxious. It sounds silly. Certainly it's not true. Come on. I'm sure you're joking with me. So like this, the Brahmana simply brushed off the idea of the Lord actually threading a needle with the tail of an elephant. So Narada Muni thought, okay, so this Brahmana certainly doesn't have any faith. So he goes to the cobbler and the cobbler says, what did my Lord say? What was he doing? And Narada Muni repeated this. And the cobbler said, how wonderful is my Lord? Is there anything that he cannot do? So Narada understood that the person who was supposedly pure Brahmana, understood the Vedic scriptures, studied the Vedic scriptures, had no faith in the Lord. The cobbler, who had never studied scriptures, but somehow or the other was doing some amount of bhajan every day, he had complete faith in the Lord, that the Lord could do anything, including thread a needle with an elephant's tail. What is so hard for the Lord? The Lord is almighty. He can do anything. So in this way, unless you have faith in Krishna, then how are you going to make progress? You can follow the scriptures right to the T, but if you don't have faith in Krishna, then it's a big F, fail. So essentially Krishna is saying, whoever you are, you be that person. Don't try to copy somebody else, because the original is beautiful. This does not mean you should not change your anarthas. That's not what Krishna is saying. Wherever I have placed you, you be happy there. That's what Krishna is saying. So here, Krishna is saying, only the person who performs bhakti actually understands me. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So again, repeatedly, Krishna has now come back to the topic of bhakti. The Lord is saying clearly here, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. He did not say jnana mam abhijanati. He did not say dhyana mam abhijanati. Krishna is saying only my devotees understand me. No one else can understand Krishna. Therefore, bhakti is the topmost way to go back to the Lord. It's the easiest way to go back to the Lord. So bhakti yoga is the way to that wonderful place of eternal peace and bliss. Because to know Krishna means to be with him. Correct? Coming back to the topic of faith. Chetasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matparaha buddhiyogamupashritya matchittas satatam bhava. In all activities, just depend upon me. This is the most important instruction for us. In all activities, just depend upon me. and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Krishna is essentially saying, always think of me, never forget me. Remember, we discussed this. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Yes. There are 2 shlokas that are almost identical in the Bhagavad Gita. There are a couple of others, but this is very important. We've covered this in the 9th chapter, and now Krishna repeats it in the 18th chapter. In the 9th chapter, the shloka was Manmana bhava mad bhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam madparayanaha. Here in the 18th chapter, almost identical shloka is Manmana bhava mad bhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru Mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. So there's a slight variation in the last 2 lines. So in the 34th shloka of the 9th chapter, what has Krishna told us? Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. And in the 65th shloka of the 18th chapter, again, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. And one extra line that was not there in the 34th shloka of the 9th chapter. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Pratijane priyosi me. Krishna says, I love you so much. This is all, you have to follow my instruction. And because I love you so much, I will rescue you without fail. You need not worry. Therefore, this chapter's single word summary is surrender. Now, this shloka is often misunderstood. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Krishna is saying, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. That means Krishna is saying, if you have faith in me and you surrender to me, then you should have no fear because I am there to protect you. I am there to catch you if you fall. I am there to help you when you need me. Yes. What was Draupadi's mistake? First, she tried to call out to the elders, requesting them to intervene. They did not intervene. Then she tried to use logic to argue why what was being done was against Shastra. Nobody cared. Then when the disrobing began, she first held on to the sari with her own hands, thinking she can fight it. Then with her teeth, until she could no longer handle the attack. That is when she called out to Krishna. Later on, she asked Krishna, what took you so long? I thought, I'm your devotee. Krishna said, what took you so long to call out for me? You were pretty much convinced that you could save yourself, others could save you. Has it ever occurred to you, if I'm your protector, I should be the first one you call? Because your family members cannot save you, society cannot save you, only Krishna can save you. That's why Krishna is saying, you should not fear. You can call to me when you are in despair. Don't call to anyone else. But as soon as you called for me, I came. But you delayed calling for me. You didn't prioritize me. That means you are not dependent on me. You try to solve everything on your own. Right? So, so Krishna is giving you a guarantee that he will protect you. He's saying, don't have any fear whatsoever. Let us say you go to a hospital and some major surgery has to be performed. Immediately the hospital will give you a form where you'll read and sign and accept the fact that even though you are going to spend so much money on the surgery, there is a likelihood that the surgery would fail, including and up to the cause of your death. So after paying so much money, the hospital cannot guarantee you your life, cannot guarantee you that the surgery would be successful. But yet we are ready to sign on the line just to take a risk and see, if we will survive this surgery, or if the surgery will cure me of whatever ailment that I have. But we are not willing to be dependent on Krishna. So the hospital cannot guarantee you your life, but Krishna can. You can't go to anybody else and ask them for moksha, because moksha can only be given by Krishna. Hence, Krishna is making this promise to his devotees. Do not fear, I'm there for you. So you can say this one shloka summarizes the entire Bhagavad Gita. But is Krishna really saying abandon everything? No. Anything that is adharmic, abandon that. But if you want to come back to me really quickly, then you have to learn how to surrender. You have to become a puppet in my hand and be my instrument. And Krishna is going to tell us how we can be an instrument. Right? This is the final instruction, but Krishna is also giving us additional instructions. So the objective here is to surrender to Krishna and Krishna alone, not to have any side insurance policies for yourself. If you have faith in Krishna, then you know Krishna will protect you, guide you, take you where you need to go. And when you reach that stage where you're completely dependent on Krishna, then you feel completely at peace. You have no anxiety whatsoever. Because you know Krishna will always be there. And in this way, you can become immediately freed up from all sinful reactions. So here, Krishna is telling us a few other things. Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshvabhidhasyate bhaktim mai param kritva mame vaishyatya samshayah. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. So essentially Krishna is saying, my devotees who preach this knowledge, who share this knowledge, who help others by spreading this information, this transcendental knowledge, to them I am deeply indebted. So they will get pure love for me. And because they will end up with Krishna Prema, then definitely they are going to come back to me. So Krishna is urging his devotees to preach. we should be loud in our preaching, because a lot of nonsense preaching is going on. In order to drown out those nonsense preaching, we have to be loud in our preaching efforts. So I'm sure just as you have benefited, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot through these classes, I do not know. I'm sure you will do your bit to invite everybody to the next session that will happen, probably in the month of June, the same 18-day session. And in the meantime, as you think about who all you want to spread and share this information with, you yourself should be making tremendous progress on this path. You yourself should be committing that, yes, I will continue with this. I will not give it up. Because Krishna is my friend and this is what he has asked me to do. Well, in case you can't preach, you're not very intelligent. But Prabhupada says you don't need intelligence to preach. You simply have to repeat what Krishna said. If you repeat what Krishna said, if you repeat what Acharya said, then you yourself are a guru. So Krishna is saying, those who preach, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So Krishna is categorically saying, his devotees who go all around the world preaching this message, connecting Jivatmas back to Krishna, Krishna says they are my favorite people in the world. And there will be nobody more favorable than them or more favorite than them. So Krishna is emphasizing the importance of preaching. So we can also preach by reading the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. If you don't have a copy of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, you can purchase it. You can purchase a set of the Bhagavatam. You can worship these books in your altar. And of course, definitely you should be reading. So the real secret is to encourage others to read the Bhagavad Gita, and when others receive this most wonderful knowledge, you also become dear to Krishna. This is what Krishna is saying, that you should use every opportunity that you can to try and connect other Jivatmas to Krishna. Encourage them to come to the temple, encourage them to come for classes, encourage them to chant, encourage them to do seva, encourage them to have prasadam. Because there are so many different ways in which Krishna can reach you. Many devotees have become devotees because of prasadam, not because of philosophy. Many devotees have become devotees not because of philosophy, but because of the association of the Vaishnavas. So it's not that philosophy is the, cup of tea for everybody. It may not be. But anyway, Krishna is saying, if you can do this preaching on my behalf, then no, you will be my best friend. So we can do that. We can invite others to attend these classes. If you can't preach, then Krishna says, simply by reading the Bhagavad Gita, you are worshipping me with your intelligence. Well, if you don't know how to read, or if it's too difficult for you to read philosophy, then Krishna says, simply by listening to the shlokas in the Bhagavad Gita, you become freed from all sinful reactions. And you may not go to the spiritual world, but at least you go to the auspicious planets, where there will be other devotees. Right? So Krishna has first said, preach. If you can't preach, then read and study what I'm saying. If you can't read and study, then at least you listen to the Gita. If you listen to the Gita, then this is the benefit. All of your sins are wiped out. Yeah. So I'm sure all of you will help me by introducing this wonderful 18-day session to your families, to your friends, to your neighbors, to your co-workers, and encourage them, tell them, this is the best thing that happened in my life. I don't want you to miss it. Try and attend as many classes as you can so you can also benefit from this session. So in terms of next steps, of course, the very last shloka. Yatra yogeshwarah krishnaha, yatra partho dhanurdaraha, tatra shrir vijayo bhutihi, dhruva nitirmatar mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power and morality. That is my opinion. So this is Sanjaya saying, whoever is listening to this conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, they will be all victorious. They will have extraordinary power. And certainly they will experience victory and morality, which means they will learn how to do the right thing. So Arjuna is saying that is my opinion. So since we've completed the 18th chapter today, and I'm sure all of you have seen the quiz links that Shama Mataji has been posting. I hope all of you have been attempting the quiz. So a similar certificate like this awaits you as soon as you complete the quiz. We will give you a deadline by which to finish all the chapters, including the 18th chapter. And whoever completes all the quizzes will get that certificate. It will be an e-certificate. The next session, as I mentioned, will be in June. I have not finalized the date yet, but you can certainly forward this poster, which I will share with you probably tomorrow or Sunday. You can forward this poster and share it with at least 25-50 people that you know and encourage them to attend it. Yes. And most importantly for me, since you are here, I would like you to join our morning sessions as much as you can. Because if you join the morning session, it'll make a huge difference in your life. So we are posting the daily morning link for you in the WhatsApp group. And now I'm sure you will ask, what next? Is it over or is there something more for us? But before we go there, is there any question based on today's chapter? Any doubts that you have? I can do my best to clarify it. So there was a question about Mahatma Gandhi's fasting. And yes, he would also fast. For various purposes, including political reasons. Well, the Shastras clearly say you should not observe austerities for material benefits. All austerities should be for spiritual benefits alone. Right? So fasting for political reasons is not accepted by the Lord. I mean, you are fasting to get some material outcome. Rather, when we fast on Ekadasi, what are we doing? We are doing Harikatha. We are hearing about Krishna. We are chanting Krishna's names. This kind of fasting is ideal because you're focused on the Lord. Okay. All right. As far as Bharati, if you can kindly send me a message. I do not know how you're missing it. Are you not in the group?
Ma'am, I got it today after 6th chapter. So in between, I could not get any link. So you, because every day now this is being posted on YouTube also. So that becomes my source.
Acha, okay, all right. But if you're in the WhatsApp group, which WhatsApp group are you in? Can you tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And if you can drop me a message, I can share with you all the quiz links.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
So this is ISKCON Bangalore, Giridhar.
Giridhari Circle.
Circle. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you just drop me a message? I will share all the quiz links.
To you, ma'am, because this is only admin group.
I would have posted a
Yes,
message
ma'am.
today for
It
today's
just
chapter.
come from Lakshmi Subramanyam.
Yeah, just respond to that.
Okay.
I will get the message.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mataji.
Yes.
Like I think I have done till 14 quiz. Some I missed. I told you past 2 days I had some other commitment. I'll be
Yes.
doing it. Will we know in case we missed any, or how do we check that any quiz we have not done?
In case it's a little tedious for us to do that kind of reporting because there are 18 different quizzes. And the challenge that we have is people enter their names differently each time they do the quiz. So it's very hard for us to reconcile. If you use the exact same name in every quiz, then it's easy for us to come back and tell you, yes, these are the quizzes that you have missed. So not to worry, just do your best to. We will post all the quiz links again. All 18 chapters we will be posting again. And you can use that. Do we have Bhagavad Gita shloka by shloka? Yes, all of my recordings are there. I think maybe from the 4th chapter onwards there are recordings. So every day we did a shloka, and 2 months ago we finished all of the shlokas. In the evening hours, I am taking chapter 1 right now. I will take it up to chapter 4, and then from chapter 4 anyway, all of the recordings are there on the YouTube channel. So yes, you can join us in the evening. We'll post the link for the evening sessions. Right now, since I'm conducting these classes, I have paused the evening sessions. So once we resume that, certainly. In terms of what's next, you have to register for level 2. And when you register for level 2, we will add you to our advanced group, the advanced Bhagavad Gita sessions group. And there you will find all other information of different classes that we have, the different timings, etc. So I will share the registration link for level 2 also. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
All right, thank you. Any questions on today's session? Okay, I don't see any other questions in the chat. All right. So tomorrow evening we have 2 more sessions left, not the Bhagavad Gita, but to introduce you to who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and also to introduce you to Srila Prabhupada. So same timings tomorrow, we will have a session on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sunday night we'll have a session on Srila Prabhupada. So please join us, don't miss those sessions, because that's very, very important, in addition to the 18 chapters that we've done. All right. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarupyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Shishi Gauranatai ki jai. Thank you very much, devotees. Haribol Bharti Mataji, please send me a message.
I sent you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji. Hare
Bol.